name is Gauri and welcome to my channel Gauri's 3 C's. After I posted a few crafting videos on some cards that I had made, I received a few comments on my channel asking me to explain some of the supplies and tools that I have been using. So I decided to do this 4-part series that would cover the tools and supplies that I use in my paper crafting. So basics. Let's start off with what I call a tool and what I call a supply. Tool is something that you would be able to use over and over and over again until it either breaks or doesn't function anymore and you have to replace it. A supply is something that after continuous usage you would consume all of it and you would need to replenish it. So that's the distinction I'm making between a tool and a supply, and I'll go through some of the tools and supplies that I use for paper crafting. To start off, never discount the power of a good pair of scissors and a sharp pair of scissors. If you are able to, as far as possible, try and keep separate pairs of scissors for each of your purposes. Keep a separate one for paper, a separate one for tape, especially because tape tends to stick to the blades and the sharp edges can be roughed up a little bit. And keep a separate one for fabric if you use that in your craft room anyway. So a sharp pair of scissors definitely is one of your first tools that you should start off with. If you are into paper crafting or scrapbooking or 3D objects that you make, one of the things that you would want to invest in is a trimmer. What I have is a Tonic Studios 12-inch trimmer, because most of the paper that I use is up to a max of 12 inches, and that's the reason I decided to buy the larger trimmer. I don't buy as many of the 6x6 paper packs or the smaller papers. I decided to buy the larger one. I use this paper trimmer for a lot of cutting in my craft room, obviously for the cards that I make and for any other three-dimensional objects that I make. So just to give you, it has these inch markings and centimeter markings on the top and also in the middle. It has this blade that goes up and down, and this kind of a plastic edge that holds the paper down. So just to demonstrate, if I want to cut this piece of paper at say 5 inches here, I would hold it up at 5 inches, hold this area down, and one sharp snip down would give me the two pieces that I'm looking for. This job can definitely be done with a pair of scissors, but it's going to take you longer and the end result is just not going to be as consistent every single time. So a paper trimmer is one thing you would want to invest on. Next thing is, especially if you are into three-dimensional objects as well as cards, not so much for cards but for three-dimensional objects, you would want to use a scoring board. Now, what the scoring tool is when you have paper that you need to fold in different directions, the scoring tool and the scoring board allows you to make those score marks that then make that paper automatically fold along those scored edges. So just to demonstrate how that works, here's a 5-inch piece of paper that I have. This side is 5 inches. So let's say we want to score it along the middle. Hold it tightly down and make that score mark. You may, depending on the thickness of the paper, you may want to do 1 or 2 marks, and then that will help your folder automatically fold down on that edge and easily without much trouble. Now obviously this is something that can be done with just a ruler and the back of a pen or a pencil or something like that, but the scoring tool gives you a sharper, crisper look. And to fold that down while you can, use your fingers. The bone folder is another tool which probably you should invest in, and this one is not a very expensive one. You would just be able to use a bone folder to make that crease even more crisper when you go about with, especially with card making or card bases or three-dimensional objects that you make. So that's something that I wanted to demonstrate to you. Moving on to some of the other tools that are useful I wanted to show you a few varieties of craft knives and cutters that I have and what different purposes that I use them for. This is my basic craft knife that can be used for any, you know, low low weight or easy paper cutting, and especially if it is an area that needs to be cut in the middle. So let me try and demonstrate to you. If I want to cut a slit in this in the middle, well, I could do that by fiddling around a little bit with some scissors. It's obviously easily done with a craft knife. So as you'll see, to cut this slit open on this piece of paper, I can just move my craft knife, and this is not a very heavy duty one, but it still can work well for paper. Now, as you're seeing me use this craft knife, you're probably worried about the surface that I'm working on and on whether it is going to destroy the mat that is underneath or destroy the countertop that I'm working on. As you see, I'm working on a self-healing mat. So I wanted to talk about the self-healing mat as well. As the name indicates, any cuts that you make on that mat is going to heal itself and put it back together, so it's not going to cause any damage. As you see, I'm moving this craft knife on the mat and it's not causing any damage. There are several varieties of craft knives available. One other one that I have is a Fiskars one, so slightly more heavy duty as compared to the other one. I'm missing the cap. I should find it for safety purposes, but I'm missing the cap. Anyway, so that's one. Also, the one that I tend to use for fabric is my rotary cutter. It just seems to do a better job with fabric. One thing you would also probably like to have, and it's easier to have on hand, easier to use if you have it on hand, is a steel ruler. Because it's a steel ruler, when you know, you're not using a glass ruler or anything, when a sharp edge of a blade comes in contact, you don't have to worry too much. So let's say I want to cut this piece of fabric, I can use a rotary cutter like this and create my two pieces of fabric with a rotary cutter. There are several ones that are available. This one's a Martha Stewart one. There's Fiskars, Alpha. There are several other brands available out there. I will link down to all the products that I'm using here, the ones that I have, the ones that I'm able to find links for, so you have that for easy reference. I also wanted to talk about this heavy duty box cutter that I recently purchased. This is just an Amazon purchase, but I wanted to demonstrate how and where I use this. For example, if I'm working on some maybe a crafting or organizing product and using leftover cardboard, I could use this in conjunction with my steel ruler again and make, as you're seeing, the thickness of this cardboard is quite a lot. So my regular pair of scissors wouldn't work and I wouldn't risk my rotary cutter either. But this one is a super heavy duty one, and it just works like butter. I'm just sliding it through, not even applying as much pressure. And as you see, that's been able to make a decent enough cut without much trouble. Right, so those are the different kinds of cutters that I have. As you start off, you don't need to stock up on all of these, but as you start making more, you will probably end up building your inventory of these supplies and probably add on to some of the tools. I hope you enjoyed learning about the tools and supplies I shared with you today. I'll be creating more videos to share the rest of my tools and supplies. If you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on my next one.